This is Paul from Drums and Rums with the Backbeats Meets the Spirits. I've learned about our guest from my good friends over at the Hook and Bridge podcast. Hailing from Ohio, we have Julian from Ataraxis. Hey, Julian, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good, man. Ohio, right? So the birthplace or the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yep.
Cool. And
The
I
one and
know
the only.
what's that?
The one and the only.
The one, yeah, the one. I don't know. There's a lot of people that question really what constitutes what's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame lately, but
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean I don't really have an issue with it, but I do think there's some boundaries that need to be placed.
that's fair. That's fair. I know you're quite a few artists are going in this year, which is really cool. And and your uncle Ozzy is going in, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, so like I said, definitely want to give a big shout out thanks there to the folks, the gang over at Hook and Bridge there, Harley and the crew there for kind of connecting. That's what the cool part about the podcast are is, working together, sharing guests, kind of help promote together across different platforms. Obviously, that's why you're on here to talk about the band. We're going to learn a little bit more, talk about your drumming and some of your, the how you got into music and so on and so forth here. So yeah, let's just jump right in there. So tell me about the Ataraxis there. So again, I know it's looking at the name of the band and saying, okay, what is that? What is it? What is Ataraxis? Where did it come
So
from?
yeah, so actually I'm kind of on the same boat with you here. I For me, there's no real definitive answer. If you were to look it up, there probably will be. From what I understand, the name strains for almost like Nirvana. It's like a state of peace and mind and tranquility. Just peace, pretty much. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure. But to me, I know this seems kind of corny, but Ataraxis kind of means family. I mean, anytime you're around us, I mean, we make you feel welcome. For the most part, we try to.
Okay.
We try to. But yeah, I mean, we're all fun and games here. We love the rock and roll.
So I know, a little bit about, talking with, the stuff over at Hook and Bridge, and now how long has the band been together there, right?
So I believe started early 2019. It started out with just Steve, our guitarist and lead singer, and then one of our good buddies, Robert, on drums. And then it kind of strained into, well, my cousin Dave, who was the original actual bassist, joined in on that with them. And then they were like, oh, I have a drummer, in my family. And because I had been doing band and stuff and playing drum set for quite some time at the time at that period. And they were like, let's give it a shot. So around December of 2019, I had my first rehearsal with them. And then literally 2 weeks later, January 3rd, it was a New Year's kind of themed party. Or well, show event. We had our first show there together, actual one, at a venue. And
Cool.
and from there it's pretty much history. I mean, I there's been quite a few people in and out of the band, but I mean that happens, especially being in this day and age. I mean, other people got other stuff to do. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, some people find better opportunities. Some people think they will, and they end up, oh, should have
Yep.
stayed. But yeah, I decided to leave for a little bit to focus on school. It's kind of wild, but I was only 14 at the time that I had joined, just coming on turning 15. Um, and then, or later that year in 2020, COVID happened, so I kind of had to stray away and stay all germ free.
Right.
And through high school and whatnot, there was a new drummer. I think his name was Adam. And then that's when Zane, our current bassist, joined along too. Um, and they played quite a few shows together. And then Adam ended up leaving, and Al joined. and then who currently is kind of out of commission right now. He had an injury, which is why I'm here.
Okay.
Just as of I want to say, ooh, actually, funny enough, December of last year, I came back and started playing with them again.
Okay.
And so far, it seems like I'm here to stay for the most part,
All
and
right.
I've loved every bit of it. I mean, they're literally, like I said, they're my family. They're great.
Very cool. So the band, what type of music do you guys do?
So for the most part, what you'll hear is kind of psychedelic. Well, I guess it's almost like a new genre, or just like a not necessarily heard one, or heard of one. It's kind of like psychedelic punk or alternative. We kind of mix in some like vibey music as well as stuff that you'd hear at a bar with a bunch of emos, just like screaming, high kick, just it's a lot of energy. So I mean, I don't really know what you would put it in simple terms. I'd like to say alternative and punk, but I mean, we're kind of exploring. So
Okay.
especially with me and my background with music, I mean, I've been studying music and for about 8 years now. So and Zane as well, he's had his time with music theory as well, learning about it. So we're really just trying to see where we're at right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So would you classify, you said it sounds like it's hard to put you in a quote unquote genre, right? So
yeah.
for those that are listening, I was doing air quotes there, but um so but yeah, there's obviously, so I mean, so what's some of at least your music influences that kind of makes you who you are in your style and obviously things like that.
um, Heavily when I first started, oh my goodness, Roger Taylor. He wait, right, yeah, yes, Roger Taylor, I believe. I really hope I'm not getting that wrong. The drummer for Queen.
Yeah, you got it
Yes,
right. Yeah.
okay. Want to make sure. That would suck. I mean, I even got a Freddie Mercury Funko Pop right here. I was obsessed with Queen for a good span of about 4 years, um, and I listened to all their stuff. Um, but a lot of his playing style really influenced the way I play now, ranging from, I mean, trying to sing high falsettos while in the middle of playing, and to even just the way he hits his snare drum. Um, it
It's a,
really does
the
range, but
pop.
he was one
Yeah.
of my main first ones.
Okay.
And
So
then as of lately, it's Lars, Lars
okay.
Ulrich.
Okay. So so with Roger Taylor and Queen, he said, in the last about 4 years ago was, and I don't remember what did you know the band? Were you following, listening before the movie came out, or was it the movie kind
Yes, yeah, I
of? Okay.
was, but I wasn't really heavy into really analyzing because
Okay.
I didn't even get my first drum set till about the year before then, and then I was thinking of like all these other, like, it seems goofy, but it wasn't until about a year later after getting my drum set that I realized, maybe if I practice the songs I listen to, I'd get better at them. So uh,
That's usually how it works.
yeah, for the most part. But I mean, yeah, I kind of listen to them. I mean, my parents in their 40s, they listen to them when they were growing up too.
Hmm.
So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
definitely not a bad drummer to, follow in with definitely their Queen's very, exploratory in their music and their
yeah,
original stuff, and there was never any one same thing. So definitely gives a good breadth of, an interesting way to of the drummer to say it.
yes,
You play the same kind of music. You're not really moving out of your comfort. And I know, Queen, yeah, of course, when the movie came out and resurgence of the people following them and so forth, but um, the appreciation of how unique that band was and
yeah.
the right parts fit together to create something awesome, right?
Yes, it was really actually, matter of fact, today in class, I was talking with my English teacher, and she had brought up um, Brian May, and how I mean, he's an astrophysicist. He is very classically trained to do his one job and whatnot and whatnot. But and how she was talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, the song, and how Bohemian Rhapsody, it's more of an operatic type sounding song, and it even starts off as an opera. And she really was fascinated by, and even myself, I was fascinated how they twisted the feel of the song so like elegantly and so like perfect almost. Like it really is amazing to see what those four men could come up with in their minds at the time, especially such an early. I mean, that came out in, I want to say, 75. So it's just really impressive.
Yeah, it definitely they were not afraid to have any boundaries
No.
of what defined them, which is again back then looking then it may have been a little bit of um really risky, but they kind of said, "Hey, we're gonna stick to our guns and do what we want to do," and all so forth. So you mentioned Lars. Are you a newer Metallica sound or older school?
Older school, definitely their thrash. They're nice, like little thrash era. I mean, I guess they're considered thrash for the most part, but I mean they're real everything from Kill 'Em All to probably just right up about half of the album, half of the Black Album. That's right about where I stop.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, and there's nothing wrong with any of the other songs, especially, I mean, Lux Eterna, the 72 Seasons album. It's really nice, but I think just what I'm comfortable with and the way that I like to play, definitely anything back, pretty much nine pre 90s is what I follow.
Okay.
I really like it. And the double bass, it was
Mhm.
really nice. The
Yeah.
Blackened was one of
Oh,
my biggest influencing songs. I loved it. It really got me into the idea of like mixed meter and just like offbeats and whatnot. It really just it intrigued me. It
mm.
opened up a new space for me to explore.
So does some of that bleed into then what the style of music you guys are, because you guys are also you are original music too, right? You
Yeah.
perform. So is that style very similar to like how Metallica was during that time, very much a drum and guitar influence in their music style, what you guys do, or is it kind of something more traditional what you guys do?
I'd want to say, well, I mean, if anything, what really influences the band is, for the most part, because I mean, I think I'm only on about maybe three or four recordings on our Spotify and on our like streaming song, streaming services. But in general, as a band, I think what you'll hear in our music is Green Day and Nirvana, like
Okay.
heavily,
Okay.
heavily, and then and a little bit of I forget what he said, maybe Motley Crue, a little bit.
Okay.
Um, Al, our other drummer, I mean, I don't know him all that much actually. I mean, he's a really cool guy. You can get along with him in a split second, But I mean, I never really got to see him much except for a couple shows.
Right.
But but from what I know of, I mean, he's a pretty consistent guy.
Okay. Okay.
So I mean, whatever. I'm not sure what influenced him, but I guess that's what you would hear.
Okay.
But for me, what the path I'm trying to go into with Ataraxis is, yeah, I want to change up the style a little bit and put more of my influence into it,
Okay.
into the feel.
That's fair. Anytime a new member comes in, they have to kind of assimilate to it's tough, and then being accepted as a part of the core now is to be able to, yeah, to your point, put your own stamp and your own style and your own uh feel into the music, and people that know a band well enough can tell the difference when there's a new, like we just listened to, speaking of Motley Crue, was the new Motley Crue song came out, and
I did hear about that.
there's a lot of mixed feelings about how it doesn't sound like Motley Crue, and obviously you have a new lead guitar. You have a guitar player with John Five. A lot of people say that this is not the same tone and style. So, but
Yeah, I hear a lot about actually. I mean, I didn't really take the time to listen to any of the new song. I just heard it came out, but it's not getting that many good reviews on my end, from what I'm hearing.
in my opinion, I can listening to it and trying to be very open minded about it. Yeah, it's not a Motley Crue. I'm not impressed with the vocals. I liked some of the heaviness of it, but if it was some other band, you didn't tell me it was Motley Crue, and if I didn't hear vocals, I'd be like, this is actually a really cool music. But again, the vocals coming with Vince Neil, I don't know. I mean, I know it's so overproduced too, which is a whole nother thing. But you
Yeah, I mean, look at Vince. I mean, seeing him play live. I mean, closest that you can get to getting an overpriced karaoke thing at
yeah,
an open night
yeah,
bar. I mean,
oh
it's
yeah,
and I mean, and it's I'm not. I mean, it is very much his fault. I mean, the things that he did to his body in his youth really speak volumes. But I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, at least he's still trying to please his fans. I mean, I know some. I mean, I'd much rather that and him try than just give up on it. Watch him fade out of relative relevancy.
it's funny, Julian, because I'm very mixed about that. I never got a chance to see Motley Crue, and I know they're still touring, but I just can't come to pay the money to see that
Yeah,
band. No,
and that's reasonable. I
no,
mean, not gonna lie, even if I had $100,000, I don't think I'm sitting there paying, you know, for to go, to go
right.
see them, unless there's somebody else, there too.
Yeah,
But
oh, right, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like
if they're
welcome to
headlining, I'm okay. I'm I'm
right,
I'm good on that one.
welcome to Rockville. I think they're playing one of the nights here in Daytona coming up in a few weeks, and that's one of those shows that's like, well, I don't know, but anyway, so yeah, okay, so yeah, again, we'll try still keep talking a little bit about the band. So, what are what kind of you working on any new music? Are you got any shows coming up? What kind of things there?
Yeah. So actually, coming up just in this upcoming summer, I think it's in June. We have a week tour. We're going pretty much East Coast. Not all of the East Coast because we're still very small, but I believe we're hitting up. It's just some of the locations: New York, Washington D.C., um, and then Virginia Beach, and then we're coming back up to Chicago
Okay.
uh, to play. More promotional than it is, obviously, getting paid and stuff. But I mean, as a fresh adult, I was just a kid a couple months ago. I don't mind it. I really don't mind. I mean, I've got a job. I can sustain myself, especially when it comes to gas. I know it's going to be very pricey,
Yeah.
but if I get a chance to go out and see our nation and do the one thing that I enjoy heavily, I'm going to take that opportunity.
Yep. Hey,
Um,
do it now when you're still young.
exactly right. I mean, some people. I mean, no, not to bum anybody out or diss anybody, but I mean, having kids can really stunt your wishes.
Well, I have kids, so I don't know what you're trying to tell me. No, I hear you, right? Where you've got, if you've got the ability to do that, that's why they do say it's a young man's game because once you start having responsibilities and other things going on, and it can it be done? Sure. Is it difficult? Yes. But it's one of those things, yes, if you're chasing your dream and you don't have a whole lot that may be tying you down to it, job, house, mortgage, car payments, kids, and for that opportunity, again, you definitely will learn a lot being on the tour on the road about yourself and about your bandmates, and then again about music in general too. So yeah, so we'll have to definitely keep track and of those dates there and send them on over, and we'll post it and definitely in the show notes and so forth.
I
So
gotcha.
yeah, so are you do you know kind of the bands that you're on a bill with, or how's that working out?
Um, actually, I think I've got a PDF or spreadsheet somewhere, but not off the top of my head. I mean, we just now we had to switch some stuff around because of some other things, work related stuff. I got to call off certain days, but also just things that need to align better. Initially we were going to start the tour on a Saturday, but we had to bump it back a day. So we just now are finalizing some of the other things.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, the recordings there, do you have any new music coming up? Are you working on anything new?
Yeah. We got I want to say a couple songs. We have one that we play currently live at shows.
Okay.
But we were going to hit the recording studio, the studio, but I think especially on my end, I really vouched for holding off on that to, smooth it out. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to take back on that because I want to say it was Saturday, right? That you went to my show Saturday. Yeah. We had one of our cleanest run throughs. I mean, Steve out of nowhere whipped out lyrics that we had never heard before, and it was gorgeous. It was great. But hopefully, if not by the end of the summer, sometime this year, we'll probably have that studio ready. I'm not gonna disclose the name, but
Okay.
but it's I really like it. Speaking of which, like I was saying about time change and time signatures and whatnot and awkward phrasing, I didn't realize it until after we had done numerous run throughs that there was quite a bit of that in the song. And being said, like I said, I don't believe it's studio ready. Some of it's not that good yet, but some awkwardness, some like awkward silence, and then tempo. Nobody not staying on the same tempo, but you know
Yeah.
what? We're not professionals. We're just doing this for fun. So I mean, even if that shows in the recording, who gives a hell,
Yeah, it's definitely and talk to, obviously a lot of musicians, and a lot do say is, you know, yeah, being prepared to go into the studio and rehearse, because then one, it's if you're okay with the outcome, that's great. And then if, however, depending how much you do, obviously being in the studio, as you know, it can be costly.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, to be there for, hours and hours and hours and hours. But yeah, okay, no, that's good. We'll definitely have to keep tracking, tune in and stay watching you guys for your new stuff that comes out there, and the name that you cannot release. So man, you're not gonna throw me a freaking bone here and give me an exclusive.
I guess. So, I mean, the song itself's not really video game related, but the name is.
Okay,
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers. That's cool.
Yep,
Zelda,
we're calling it. Yep, there we go. The song's
Fortnite,
called Tetris.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Yep. Fortnite. The song, the album it's on is going to be called The Battle Pass.
That's actually pretty cool. That might not, you may have to hold on to that name. That might be pretty good for a reason. So,
Yeah.
so hey, so Julian, let's talk a little bit about your what kind of setup what's your rig you got going on there?
So, it's a little complicated at the moment. So I initially had a Pearl Rockstar model set from the 80s. I had gotten it from a friend of my dad's who he works with for a very cheap price. And little did I know the value of it, I sold it for way less than it should. I mean, it's very old. I didn't do much to fix it up. I kind of wanted it out because I was moving all my stuff from the basement up into the room I'm currently in, which is about 3 times as small. uh, so I just opted to get rid of it, use the money to hopefully save up for either a car, which I now have, or an electric kit, which I'm still looking for.
Okay.
But smart enough for me, smart enough of me, I decided to keep some of the stuff that I knew I didn't have. So it's a mix of a Pearl Rockstar model set from the 80s, and I want to say a either 2010s or early 2000. It might also be a Pearl set actually. I'm not all too sure. It's green. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look at the badge on it, but it's newer.
Okay.
But I mean, it's all Pearl from what I know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes some of those older kits, I'm sure some of the sounds on it, obviously obviously the size of the toms, or even even the kick drum can be, more thunderous than a shallow or
Oh
the size
boy,
or
I tell you, the one I had 22 inch 22-inch double bass, like actual two basses that
Right.
I could put my. Yeah, I mean, it was a monster. It was seven toms,
Oh my God.
and including the floor, because there's two floor. Well, hold on. So three, I believe.
The four up top, two down
Yeah,
below.
four on top, two on bottom. Or well, never mind. So that'd be six. Sorry, six toms, two basses, two snares. Um, that one was already really bad, so I just use it for parts. Two hi hats, and I believe it was seven or six cymbals.
Okay, man, that's
Yeah, so it was a monster, and for a whopping it was 250. I think it was $250. So
wow.
right. Um,
You
I
sold it
mean,
for two. You
swing
sold
deal.
it. You sold it for 250.
I sold it for I was looking for six, sold it for dropped it down to 500. I ended up settling for 480.
Okay.
Yeah, I just needed the room. I mean, I've got stubs in the back as well as my amp and my, just a bunch of other stuff now. But it was cluttered. I mean, it looked like a hoarder house. It was horrible.
What's that?
The cleanup crew in
That's
here.
how a musician's room should look like.
It should. I mean, my right now. I mean, it's rest. It's teetering.
Oh, so yeah, having a big kit like that can be very as you know, be very painful moving around and having to set it up, tear it down, especially for gigs and so forth. So having a smaller size kit, probably maybe even with a double pedal on one single bass drum, definitely can balance out some of that. So
Yeah.
very
That's
cool.
actually I was hoping to I have to order the little the bolts, or I'm assuming that's what they're considered, bolts or screws, but that go into my double kick. That's one of the things I kept. I kept the snare, hi-hat, cymbal stands, and my cymbals.
Okay.
And I have the double bass in my closet next to me, but or the pedal at least. But I don't have all the parts for it. I have to order it
Oh,
online. But
oh, the
oh my
little
goodness, let me tell you, if I work on my technique and I get comfortable with it, oh my goodness, I'm
yeah.
I all day, every day.
So what is your like your practice regiment? You know, how do you what kind of regiment do you have for practicing?
So I mean, I mean, for the most part, it's all different. But one of my biggest things and the best things that aid me in warming up for a show or in general to get ready to play, is I just sit there and I just chop and hack things out on my foot, or like, or just on stuff. I just get my wrists moving, because there's nothing worse than going into play, at least my genre, if you're not extremely jacked or just a freak of nature, without cramping up. So I like to warm up my wrists a
Yeah.
little bit, start hitting people. So I mean, sometimes people. um, but I mean that. But especially, I mean, I do a thing called chicken in a roll. You ever heard of chicken in a roll?
No, no.
So it consists of 16th notes, I believe, or I think they're eighth notes. Yeah, they're eighth notes for a bar, and then a roll, eighth notes, and then a roll, and then
Okay.
two sets of eighth notes, and then two sets of rolls.
Okay.
Works measures. It's just really good, and then you can speed it up, or even start diddling the um, the eighth notes, or even better yet, keep the eighth notes instead of rolling. You diddle the eighth notes on
Right.
the roll. It's great. It helps out with trying to figure out what your fulcrum is like, and where you're at. It's just a great way to practice rebound too. And eights, 8/8/16. It's a great rudiment that I did in marching band. I do it now. It's just but you're alternating hands.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I do. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, it works. I
Yeah.
mean, there's really no perfect thing. It's whatever you're comfortable with, obviously. I mean, I don't think I got to be telling you, but for those who listen and are curious, I really wouldn't go and seek for a specific one. I mean, look for things that'll help you, but stick with something that's comfortable, but something that's challenging too. I don't want to sit there and see, somebody who's never played drums before going and start trying to do, super fast sixlets, or, just like,
Yeah.
it's just unexpected. Yeah, or it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's definitely, yeah, like anyone starting out an instrument, everybody wants to get to grandmaster level just by when they pick up the instrument because they know what the instrument can sound like or what it can do.
Mhm.
But it takes time and it takes practice and they can kind of getting into it and really want to be and not to be discouraged either too. So obviously, right, you're not going to get there overnight. Like you said, some of that speed and so forth. So very cool. So all right. So, Julian, all right. So we've got a segment here is in 4 beats or less. Okay. So this is a rapid fire kind of set of questions here. Some of them I think I may have already kind of maybe have heard some of the answers to it, but we'll go ahead and start it off here. So, all right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. So you got somebody there with you. Is this like a phone a friend you got there?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do. You're gonna be my phone a friend. Basic. I guess I get 4 beats or less. To is it multiple questions or is it just one?
It's 4 questions there. I'm going to give you
Four
four
questions.
questions and you're going to try to have to get first thing that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it.
First thing that comes to my mind. If I get stuck, you gotta shout something.
All right. So first question in 4 beats or less, who's on your Mount Rushmore of drummers?
Oh, okay. Like I said, Lars Ulrich, Roger Taylor, Joey Jordison, and probably John Bonham. Or is that
Okay.
Bonham? Yes.
Yeah, bottom. So 2 alive, 2 dead. Okay. Okay. So in 4 beats or less, question number 2. What's your favorite place you've played at?
Oh, the Winchester Tavern. It's a music
Okay.
tavern out in Cleveland. Beautiful.
Okay.
Love it.
How far is that from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Is it close by?
Oh, it's probably, I want to say maybe, I mean, 20 minutes or less.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I have no frame of reference to anything in Cleveland, by the way, so I have no
Yeah.
idea. So 20 minutes could be like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So number 4, or no, sorry. So in 4 beats or less, question number 3. What social media drummer are you following or crazed about?
Oh, Zach Grooves.
Okay. Okay. I would have thought you would have said El
El
Stapario.
Stepario, yeah. So I
Yeah.
used to, but I've kind of fallen off that train. I like more. I like his stuff. I watch it a bunch, but I Zach Grooves. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but
Okay.
I love him. His I forget what his band's called, but it's there. He's great.
Yep. Cool. All right. Okay. So yeah, I don't know how many times people have sent me links or videos in Instagram about El Stapario. So
He's insane.
it's
He's
like, oh,
really insane. I
have
mean,
you seen?
inhuman almost.
Yeah, it's have you seen this guy? It's like, yeah, I already know about him. Like, who doesn't? I mean, everyone thinks like I'm there. Everyone, every non-drummer thinks I've just this the first because they've seen the drummer for the first time means I've seen the
That
drummer.
you've seen it for the first
I'm
time,
like,
right?
no, yeah. I'm
It's
like,
like believe it or not, but
yeah. I do a show
I
about
yeah.
drums, so yeah, I should be up on this stuff, right? All right. So 4 beats or less. Question number 4. What's the craziest things that's happened at a gig?
Oh shoot. Um, oh my goodness. I guess guitar broke. Guitar broke. Steve's guitar just straight up just well his strap dropped and then his the chords in his pickups or in his little amp plug or his
Yeah.
they just disconnected. We had my uncle go up and this was the first show ever, by the
Oh
way, the
my
very
God.
first show I've ever played at in January 3rd. Yeah.
This
That
sounds like Spinal Tap.
yeah.
All right, so very cool. So there you go. That wasn't that too bad there. So yeah, so again, so it's fun, doing because they find out a little bit more about some of the musicians there. So yeah, so this is actually, it just kind of real brief. There's, I think some of the listeners and viewers may have already have knows this, but this was first couple of episodes here, 2024. I took a big break in the about the summer of last year. Started up a whole nother podcast called Riffs and Rhythms. Uh,
Oh,
and yeah, so this one that show's a little different. I have a co-host, and it's a drummer and a guitarist who banter and decide and do song reviews and amongst other things, and say, is it the riff or the rhythm that made this song? But this
wow.
is yeah, so but 2024, starting out strong. Again, you guys are lined up here, right up there with Tito Puente Jr., who's been a guest, Rich Redman from Jason Aldean band. He's also a guest this year so far. So really, kind of sort of a lot of cool stuff that's been going on here, and so definitely appreciate you coming on here and talking about,
Yeah.
Ataraxis, some of your music stuff there. and so forth. So what do you got? What do you got to plug, Julian? Here, in closing, like what do you want people to check out? What do you want people to go socials or the shows? You talked about the tour a little bit. So here's your
Yep.
opportunity, your shameless plugs.
All right. So, first of all, my going in fully, no shame myself. I'm a solo artist too. Ecstatic Beats 4 on Spotify. It'll be four big dudes, or so two big dudes and a little dude in the middle. I'm the guy on the left. That's me. On pretty much anywhere that you can think of. Another one. Go check out our band. On Spotify, Ataraxis. I'm sure you can see our name on the podcast right up front. But check us out on Spotify obviously all basic major streaming. And then also follow us on Instagram. I believe it's Ataraxis official or Ataraxis band underscore band, I believe. There's that. Oh boy. Oh boy. I think that's about it. I mean,
Sounds like you
yeah,
hit them all. I heard a
yeah,
Spotify, an Instagram. So yeah, you got, I think most of it, right? Your
yeah.
own stuff too, which is cool that you got your own project. Yeah. Well, before we wrap up though, yeah, you want to talk a little bit about your solo stuff?
Yeah, sure. Um, uh, Man, I have to see, but I think I started releasing. I want to say 2022.
Okay.
It started out. I was just messing around with stuff. It's a bunch of like pre-looper, like pre-made looper stuff, just hitting buttons. But um, I I want to believe it's last year, last summer. I released an album called Deceitfulness, and that was all. I mean, there's some sampled tracks in there, but for the most part, a lot of the songs I did on my own. Um, it's great. It's called Deceitfulness. I mean, the very first song on there is called Deceitfulness. It's none of it's. I mean, a couple of songs are the same, but there's no real specific genre that you can label that under.
Okay.
And it ranges from trap to lo-fi to jazz, um, to just a bunch of other some. I mean, some in some cases even you'd think funk, I guess. But I mean, yeah, there's that. I'm currently working on a song, looking to release it called Eternal Love. It's kind of like a video game esque feel,
Okay.
kind of like 8-bit. It's pretty cool. Um, I think that's gonna get a lot of hits.
Cool.
But I mean, yeah, this just something. I mean, really, I didn't even expect to release stuff on my own. I just kind of did it as therapy.
Right.
I'm not much for speaking about my feelings, at least to most people. And so I release it in the sound of music,
Hmm.
and I mean that goes for a lot of things, not even just in my solo career, but that's the biggest reason why I started, playing drums. So
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool to have it still have an outlet that's you're there you're right. You may not be necessarily sitting on the couch talking to the counselor, but at least it is therapeutic, as you mentioned, to kind of get some of those things out there, and you're in a creative sense as well too. You seem like obviously playing drums with Ataraxis and your music and probably sure you've got other things too that where you've got a creative mind to kind of always be some type of creation and creativity. So very cool. So.
yeah.
All right. So I appreciate Julian. So I'd like to thank Julian for coming on the podcast and talking about drums and music in the band Ataraxis. So check out the Drums and Rums podcast. Give it a like and a follow. And there's a lot of other great episodes that are out there. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube page. Also visit drumsandrums.com. Thank you all and have a great day. This is where the backbeats meet spirits. Cheers.
Woohoo.